This is the story of one young polar bear growing up in one of the harshest environments on Earth. Despite many dangers in his path, he must learn to hunt. His story is intertwined with that of a fox, a cunning hunter that will shadow his every move. For over 50 years, survival has captured spectacular images of the natural world. Now we use the very best to bring you stories of animals as they could occur in the wild. This is a kiak, a huge male polar bear, one of the most spectacular and iconic animals of the Arctic. Now in his prime, he weighs over 400 kilos, but his story had rather humble beginnings. His life began 3 years ago, deep under the snow. After 5 months underground, a female polar bear, Sakari, fills her lungs with fresh, icy air. It's spring, although the landscape has yet to defrost. She heaves her body from the snow and anxiously sniffs the air. The reason for her caution soon becomes clear. These tiny cubs were born underground. This is their first taste of Arctic air. First things first, after months being cooped up, it's bath time. Mum prepares a nice fresh snow bath. It's wonderful for the family to spread out and freshen up. And for kids the world over, bath time's an opportunity to play. The larger cub, a kiak, playfully swipes his little sister. But their rough and tumbles roll them away from Sakari. She clicks her teeth to call them back. The cubs are just 4 months old and weigh about 11 kilos. They have a lot of growing up to do, and for their first year will rarely leave their mother's side. Still, the games help strengthen their limbs, and besides, snow is so much fun. Playtime's over. To keep her cubs safe, Sakari ushers them back to the sanctuary of their den. She'll only use this hole for a couple of weeks. Already, it's a tight squeeze. Though smaller than the bear cubs, Napatak, the Arctic fox, is an amazing survival specialist. The secret of his success lies in his relationship to other predators. He's been waiting patiently for our bears to emerge and will shadow our young male throughout his life. Living in one of the toughest places on Earth, it pays to have big friends. This huge male shares their home range, and his leftovers kept Napatak going before the cubs were born. Arctic foxes are adaptable, eking out a living from whatever they can find scurrying beneath the snow. But they'll always keep their eyes on polar bears. This half-ton male bear regularly patrols close to Sakari's den. Hunting seals, he's currently Napatak's best chance for getting a few scraps. The big male represents the greatest threat to Sakari's cubs, so while he's in the area, she keeps them high up, out of the way. The cubs will grow fast on her fatty milk. It's like a high-calorie health shake, a cocktail of vitamins, good bacteria and fats that will set them up for their tough life on the ice. For the first year, this is life, staying close to mother and away from other bears. Winter will close the door on this chapter. The real challenges will come next spring. The Arctic has 2 seasons, light and dark. As the sun dips below the horizon, the icy world is plunged into 5 months of darkness, where only the toughest can survive. Many cubs won't make it, but Sakari's an experienced mother, so their chances are good. It's hard to imagine how any life endures this. Only the northern lights break the darkness, though they don't lift the minus 50 degrees centigrade temperatures. Yet somehow, both bears and foxes see it through. Now, the cubs are a year old, and to the family's relief, spring sunshine once again breathes life into the ice. The cubs have tripled in size, and now Sakari leads them more confidently onto the still frozen sea ice to hunt for seals. But she soon regrets her decision. The big male is back in her neighborhood and heading their way. Large male bears like this will kill younger bears to remove the competition, to get their mothers for mating rights, or even occasionally for food. Sakari knows a fast getaway is their best bet. She doesn't want to take any chances. The male doesn't pursue. Luckily, he has other things on his mind. Harp seals have just given birth, leaving their pups hidden in dens under the ice. But this disguise won't save them from the polar bear's amazing sense of smell. Sadly for many pups, this is their first and last taste of life outside the den. But the pup's fatty body will sustain the bear through the coming months, when even mighty polar bears go hungry. And of course, wherever there is a hunting bear, a cunning fox will follow. Still in his thick white winter coat, Napatak boldly makes a move. And persistence pays off. Spring is a time of plenty, but is short-lived. The bear must cash in on the baby boom to ensure his own future. Rich foods are hard to find in the Arctic. He scoops out a windbreak where he can digest his meal in comfort. With the bear out of action, our bold fox returns for seconds. There's nothing left of the seal, but the fox fancies lemmings for dessert. Remarkably, these tiny rodents have survived the winter by living in insulated tunnels beneath the snow. But sensitive ears allow the fox to pinpoint movement, and he can plow his bullet-shaped nose in for a submarine attack. The snow's still a bit deep for this pint-sized predator, but as the summer approaches, the lemming's luck will run out, and the fox is more than willing to wait. Our mother bear, Sakari, is doing her best to provide for a Kiak and his sister. But it's hard to hunt with two boisterous cubs in tow. It's not easy being a single mum when there is nothing in the freezer. She's losing weight producing so much milk, and the cubs are starting to feel the pinch. It might be spring, but this is the Arctic. The unpredictable weather can bring sudden flurries of snow. The temperature crashes, sapping the cubs' energy. They struggle to keep up with their mother, using her as a shaggy windbreak. A Kiak stays close to his mother, but both are aware that his sister repeatedly falls behind. Sakari encourages the youngsters to take a quick rest. When they decide to press on, it's clear that the young sister is struggling. Sakari stops to allow her to catch up. Another squall brings heavy snow, so they huddle low to the ground and sit it out. When they surface, it's clear that the young female's condition has worsened in the cold. Their concerned mother seems unsure what to do next. Neither Sakari or a Kiak are able to rouse the little female. They pace with concern. Kiak appears distressed and clings to his mother. Helpless, the pair watch his sister's life ebb slowly away. But just when it seems that things can't get much worse, the big male appears on the horizon. The female bear cub is very sick, and neither Sakari, her mother, or a Kiak, the other cub, can rouse her. But the situation gets far worse when an adult male arrives. This means almost certain death for the sick young female. Sakari tries to dig her little daughter from the snow, but it's too late. The cub is already dead, but Sakari doesn't want to give up on her daughter and huffs in fear and frustration. The male's not backing down. To protect her son, Sakari has no choice. She must back away. The aggressive male follows, but this mother is not about to lose a second cub and stands her ground. Taking the easy option, the male claims the lifeless body. Akiak looks on helpless as his sister's body becomes bear food. The cannibal makes short work of the small carcass. They linger, but eventually seem to accept the daughter's fate. Males will kill cubs to remove competition for his own offspring, but above all, it's an easy meal in a tough landscape. Tragedy for the family, but also a chance for them to escape. Cracks begin to splinter the sea ice, and right on cue, summer visitors arrive in their millions. Drips and drabs become torrents of life. A host of seabirds, such as little auks, descend in vast flocks to the newly exposed rocks, and here they'll raise their young. Long hours of sunlight create plankton blooms, and marine life proliferates. The seabirds will have rich pickings to feed their broods. There is such a wealth of microorganisms that even the largest mouths in the world come to feed on them. Bowhead whales, the biggest creatures to join in the frozen feeding frenzy. With a mouth the size of a minibus, the colossal whale filters tiny shrimps from the water. It will eat a ton of food a day. There's a baby boom on the cliffs, ready to take advantage of the rich seas. But they, in turn, become food for another family. Napatak's white winter coat has been replaced by his grey summer camouflage. He and his mate have a new litter, 8 tiny pups. To provide for this young family, the foxes moved several miles inland, away from the sea ice to the rich tundra. The pups' eyes have just opened, allowing them to leave the den for the first time, ready to explore their barren nursery, which can throw snowstorms at them even in midsummer. Though July temperatures typically hover at around 10 degrees above, they can just as easily dip to 10 below. Because seals only live out on the ice, the bears too stick to the sea ice for as long as possible. Sakari and her surviving cub patrol protected fjords where it stays icy late into summer, giving the bears a final chance to fatten up. It's time for a kiak, to learn to hunt. Scattered across the ice are the black outlines of resting ringed seals. At less than 90 kilos, they are the perfect size for a young bear. But the first hint of bear footsteps, and they dash beneath the ice. With sensitive noses, the polar bears behave like bloodhounds, scrutinizing the snow for any faint whiff that might betray a seal sheltering beneath. With the sea ice thinning, they have to watch their step. Kiat will have to leave his mother soon, so these hunting lessons are essential, though so far, he's not paying much attention. Though he tries his hand at sniffing out a seal, it's Mum that catches dinner. Napatak the fox is sticking to the open coastline, away from the sea ice. Stealthily, he sneaks into a bird colony, but not unnoticed. Before he knows it, he's coming under enemy fire. Peregrine falcons will not tolerate a fox anywhere near their nests. After a race to escape their talons, he thirstily gulps snow. But he's not in the clear. Snowy owls are even bigger fox deterrents, occasionally even killing and eating adult foxes. This could spell disaster, not just for him, but for his litter of dependent pups. It doesn't take long for him to get the message. It's not surprising that the owl was so aggressive. Her tiny chicks are just beginning to emerge. The mother eats the shell to recycle the calcium and keep the nest clean. While she does the housework, the male is picking up lemmings, handy snack packs he can take back to the nest. It's not a good time to be a lemming. As the snow melts, it removes their protective tunnels, but the ground is still too frozen for them to dig. They are like sitting ducks. Napatak tirelessly collects the homeless and takes them back for dinner. His large litter is growing fast and now starting to break their milk diet with the occasional lemming. The father seems keen to play with his pups, but a sharp bark from the vixen sends him packing. She's a bit overprotective, and for the first few weeks keeps her partner at bay. All that work for his young family, but no reward. Napatak doesn't even get to play. Every time there's a break from fox raids, the female lemmings do their best to gather nesting materials and excavate breeding chambers. These hamster-like rodents are eaten by just about everything. Most won't survive to adulthood, but luckily, they breed like rabbits. The most extreme nursery is 150 meters above the lemmings. Thanks to the summer's abundance, penguin-like guillemots and other seabirds have already raised their broods. The time has come to fly the nest, but it's a long way to the safety of the sea. One chick's game, and with some parental support, takes the plunge. Dad flanks his son, coaching the free fall. Throughout the colony, parents are anxious to get their infants to the relative safety of the sea. The rest of their training and development will take place afloat. One chick has a landfall. Though sleek in the water, guillemots are not designed for walking, and without his parents to protect him, he's in trouble. Skewers launch a predatory attack, but this feisty chick's got spirit. There's only one way down, with a bump. Pink-footed geese nest further inland, not ideal to avoid predators. These noisy parents are not to be messed with. Napatak may have bitten off more than he can chew. Maybe best to stick with lemmings. Young foxes are always pleased to see Dad coming home, especially when he has a mouthful. The fox parents may stay together for life, and though female cubs will likely leave to start their own families, males may stay with the pack for several years and help provide for future generations. The kitten-sized cubs may now munch their way through 6 lemmings a day. Though very sociable, at this age they already prefer to eat alone and guard their food, a useful instinct in the Arctic, where it pays to be frugal. Now that the cubs are a bit bigger, Mum lets Napatak play with his kids. Though needle-sharp puppy teeth soon test his patience. The sea ice has largely retreated, leaving polar bears stranded on the coast. Unlike the foxes and birds that thrive during summer, it's a time of fasting for the giant predators. Without ice, it's hard for polar bears to get to seals, their principal prey. One by one, they arrive at the shore. The patches of ice that remain are barely thick enough to support their weight, so they splay their legs to spread the load. This one's had one too many seals and needs to find firmer footing. The temperature's dropping, and in a few weeks the sea ice will begin to reform. In the meantime, There is little the bears can do other than sleep it out, using the last patches of snow as cooling mattresses. Amid the polar bear lock-in, Sakari continues to suckle the now rather large Akiak. It's a stressful business for mother bears. The animals are congregated close together, but big males could still represent a threat to cubs. Landlocked and hungry, the bears amuse themselves whatever way they can. As they become restless, play fighting forms the most popular pastime. The Arctic sumo team will keep themselves in peak condition, ready to return to the ice to hunt. Akiak keeps a close eye on the huge wrestling males. He seems intrigued by their brawling. But right now, he's too small to fight and must stay close to his mother. Will he ever be strong enough to challenge these giants of the ice? In summertime, the polar bears are landlocked and forced to hang out together. With colossal males so close to them, the mother and cub must be careful. Sakari leads Akiak to an unoccupied stretch of beach. The male follows, despite clear body language from Sakari that he's not welcome. It makes Akiak jumpy, but the male bear's soon on his way. She finds a small patch of sea ice. It's a bit thin to walk on, but it gets them away from the bigger bears for the time being. The free waterways are of little use to the bears, but they do draw in another visitor. Belugas, or white whales. These little leviathans use the shallow pebbly streams for a service wash, scratching off dead skin that's been accumulating on their bodies to protect against the cold winter. It's a makeover that will leave them brilliant white. Their rapture is clear, a skin peel for whales. The calves follow their mothers right into the shallows, but this beauty treatment can come at a cost. These rivers are tidal, and without the benefit of experience, a youngster has been caught out. Now high and dry, he's a potential target for bear attacks. Many young whales are caught out in this way, and most end up as bear food. The carcass from a previous beaching offers rich pickings for nap attack. This little fox never misses a trick when it comes to free food. The unfortunate whale becomes a welcome calorie boost. The calf's mother stays close to her trapped baby, spy hopping anxiously and making reassuring calls. Slowly the tide is turning, and not a moment too soon. The calf has been spotted. A deep breath and a frantic push, and he's free. The whale pod moves into deeper, safer waters. Soon they will head south as the river mouths freeze over. For bears, summer's one long fast. Opportunities to hunt are few and far between. But for Arctic foxes, there are a wealth of opportunities if you follow your nose. Napatak's cubs have outgrown several den sites and now spend most of their time play fighting in the sun. Their diligent parents never rest so they can meet the demands of growing appetites. But their duties will soon come to an end. The pups are almost big enough to fend for themselves, leaving Napatak to run free. Excitement grows for the hungry bears as cold weather sweeps in. Akiak's found a safe spot to watch as the older males spar. He's still too small to join in the games and must stay close to his mother. Autumn's creeping in, and cautiously Akiak and his mother take their first steps onto fresh ice. Seals, beware. Suddenly, Sakari picks up a scent. The large male circles her as they size each other up. But this is more mating than menace. The adults seem to hit it off, and suddenly Akiak's the one finding himself getting the cold shoulder. Maybe it's time for him to fly the nest. A moment's hesitation, and he's off, alone. But is he ready to face the challenges of life on the ice? Now 2-year-old Akiak the polar bear has left his mother. He has the daunting task of finding food for himself in this massive wilderness. Bearded seals are one of the largest potential prey species, a perfect polar bear meal. But the seals are wary, and his stalking needs some finessing. Maybe he should try a different target. Even polar bears stand little chance against a bowhead, but it's a nice thought. However, the whale is surrounded by feeding guillemots. But can he get his paws on this fast food? Guillemots swim like penguins and quickly dive out of reach. Both the birds and whales have gathered here because of the wealth of plankton. There is food for all. Not only are the bowheads the largest animals in the Arctic, they may also be the oldest. Recent evidence suggests they can live to be more than 200 years old. A kayak moves onto the patchy ice floes. Could walrus be on the menu? A walrus calf would be a great source of high-calorie food, but the youngsters are well protected by their parents' massive tusks. Getting to them presents a challenge, but one worth investigating. Living in groups, there are multiple eyes to spot the young bear's approach. Though polar bears could be counted as marine mammals, just as at home in the water as on land, they cannot compete with the walrus's diving abilities, which can take them to safety over 1,000 feet below. Foiled again. Young bears often have to walk for tens of kilometers between meals. He's not having much luck. Polar bears are strong swimmers, and paddling is an energy-efficient way to cover a lot of ground. Eventually, it also brings him to an easier option: an adult female with food. Though big male bears are still a threat, he's willing to take his chances with a smaller female. She sees him coming, but puts up little defense. It's not exactly a romantic meal for two, but there's plenty to go around. She might regret having the dinner guest. A male bear can eat 10% of its weight in just half an hour. For both bears, it's a pound-piling exercise, feeding the thick blubber that will see them through the winter. But a kayak can't rely on such handouts forever. Sooner or later, he'll have to learn to hunt. He doesn't have Mum to teach him anymore, but gradually, he's getting the hang of it. Ringed seals are starting to den under the ice, and he's hot on the trail. His hunting still needs a bit of perfecting, but that's not uncommon. Polar bears often only score once in every 50 hunts. Certainly he's perfected the dive, but he's just not coming up with the goods. He's not doing too well, but he's taking it on the nose. Maybe the seals in this area have been alerted to his presence by all the banging. He tries a bit further along the ice. Success. But his breakthrough hasn't gone unnoticed. Something is following in his tracks. Nap attack mid-molt is still hot on his trail. Free of family ties, he faces many months of the year on ice. Following the bear is his key to survival. A kiak is a messy eater, and combined with the scattering tactics of scavenging gulls, there are plenty of scraps. With such riches, he can afford to be choosy. A pair of flippers should do it. What Napatak lacks in size, he makes up for in tactics. This is how he will survive the icy winter, by following the Great Bear. Like all Arctic survivors, a kiak will waste nothing. Every part of the carcass can be consumed, as long as they're not taken by a fox. He's grown wise over the last 3 years. His mother's teachings and his own life experiences have put him in good stead. Now he can spend the summer wrestling with the other young males. Practicing, ready to take his place as the great hunter of the ice.